Not too long ago, in 2019, you might remember when Giannis and James Harden threw shade at one another. But while both men are some of the most high-profile athletes in the game today, there's things about their rivalry that no one knows. Their conflict began when Harden, in an interview after the 2019-2020 MVP award, questioned the credibility of the award, arguing it was more narrative-focused rather than skill-based. He insinuated that it took more skill to teach a guard to average 30 than it took a 7-foot player to drive and dunk. AKA, he was salty he most likely wouldn't win the award himself. And best believe, Giannis took this comment personally. The friction between them intensified during the All-Star draft when Giannis, nominated as team captain, passed up Harden while choosing his players. During the process, Giannis joked about wanting a player who could pass, giving secondhand criticism of Harden's play style, which we all know relies heavily on individual scoring and, yes, free throws. Giannis' teammates had his back, reciprocating that same energy during the All-Star game, making it a point to get under Harden's skin defensively, indicating their pointed strategy against him, especially knowing defense is a rarely seen sight during All-Star weekend. However, in recent times, there seems to have been a cooling period between the two. Giannis has praised Harden's skill, naming him one of the hardest players to guard in the NBA. But unsurprisingly, the Beard seems keen on leaving the Eastern Conference, so maybe there's still some bad blood lingering. But bad blood is an understatement for what happened before one of the greatest NBA dynasties ever took off. We make fun of the Kings and the Clippers for their record-breaking playoff droughts and failure to make waves in the league. But Dub Nation had its own 12-year drought from 1995 to 2007, before barely creeping into the semifinals as the 8th seed. And while Curry has harnessed the title of the face of the Bay now, that wasn't always the case. The tension between Monte Ellis and number 30 dates back to the beginning of Curry's professional career, when he was selected by the Golden State Warriors in the 2009 NBA draft. Ellis was the team's leading scorer, and basically the embodiment of the Warriors at that point in time. When the Bay drafted Curry, Ellis openly expressed his doubts about their ability to effectively play together in the backcourt. He believed their similar sizes and styles would make it difficult for them to coexist in the same starting lineup, which when we take a look at who's about to run the backcourt this upcoming season, it is funny to think that decision changed Golden State's whole system. From Monte's perspective in that moment, he might have viewed Steph's integration into the team as a threat to his own leadership and role, fueling his outward unwelcoming demeanor. Yet contrary to Ellis's initial reaction, Curry's performance began to blossom over the following seasons, turning more heads in the small guard's direction. But the fears Monte had weren't without some validity. 3 seasons later, the Warriors came to a major crossroads in 2012. Would they keep Ellis or would they keep Curry? Obviously, we know now that they ended up going all in on Curry, thus trading Monte Ellis to the Milwaukee Bucks. Monte was getting paid 3 times what the young shooter would make, and the front office made its decision, which of course ended up being the best choice they could have ever made. In a more recent interview, Ellis has assured the media that he and Steph have made amends and sorted out their differences. But this next duo, unfortunately, cannot say the same. In 2010, Steve Nash was living the high life, playing for the Phoenix Suns, married to his beautiful wife, Alejandra Amaria, and anxiously awaiting the birth of their 3rd child. What could possibly go wrong? The couple had been together for almost a decade when the unthinkable happened. When Alejandra gave birth, the baby was not what Steve Nash had anticipated. The baby had been conceived in an affair, and it was blatantly obvious because the new little child was in fact black. There was no hiding the entanglement, and shortly after, Steve filed for divorce, literally 1 day following his wife's birth, and rumors about the infidelity began to spread rapidly. Now, we don't know the extent of what actually went on behind closed doors. Did Nash know the affair was playing out behind his back, or did he find out in the delivery room alongside all of his family? What we do know is that his teammate and the suspected baby daddy was suddenly traded to Orlando without much of an explanation. In 2011, Steve and his now ex-wife finalized their divorce and parted ways. They worked out their differences in order to remain steadfast co-parents to their 2 children. But all of these theories are purely speculation, as both have remained tight-lipped about the whole fiasco, and each eventually moved on to bigger and brighter things. But the 2 players have never again picked back up where they left off, and it seems a permanent rift remains. Maybe one day we'll hear the truth behind what really happened, but for the sake of the kids involved, it's safe to say we may never know the full extent of the situation.